Everyone called him the perfect husband for staying by my side through my coma, but he was the one who put me there. I could hear everything, the beeping of machines, the shuffle of nurses' shoes, my mother sobbing somewhere near the door. I just couldn't move, couldn't open my eyes, couldn't scream. The doctors called it unresponsive wakefulness, said my brain showed activity but my body wasn't cooperating. What they didn't understand was that I was trapped inside myself, fully aware and completely terrified, because the man sitting in the chair next to my bed, the one holding my hand for the nurses, was the reason I was here. My husband was a doctor at this very hospital, and everyone thought he'd found me at the bottom of our stairs after a terrible accident. They didn't know he pushed me, that the last thing I saw before my head cracked against the hardwood was his face watching me tumble. Now he sat at my bedside playing the devastated spouse while his colleagues patted his shoulder and told him I'd pull through. I wanted to tear my way out of my own skin, but my body was a prison. The first week was pure suffocation. I tried to move my fingers until I thought my brain would burst from the effort, but nothing happened, not a twitch. Meanwhile, nurses rotated through my room praising the devoted Dr. Reeves, who refused to go home. Most husbands would fall apart, one of them said while adjusting my catheter. But he's here every single night reviewing your charts, consulting with neurology. You're so lucky to have him. I screamed inside my head until I exhausted myself, then I screamed some more. He visited every day. The door would close and his whole demeanor would shift like a mask sliding off. I know you can hear me, he whispered during one of those visits, his lips nearly touching my ear. Your heart rate jumps every time I get close. I felt his finger trace slowly down my cheek. Don't worry though, nobody else is paying attention to your monitors. They trust me completely. He was right. I heard him in the hallways talking to the other doctors, heard how they deferred to him because he was one of them. What's the honest prognosis? He asked the neurologist one morning outside my door. Hard to say. Could be weeks, could be months. Some patients in this state do wake up eventually. There was a long pause before my husband responded. And if she doesn't? At what point do we discuss quality of life? My heart nearly exploded out of my chest. That's really a family decision, the neurologist said gently. But if there's no improvement in the next few weeks, we can revisit the conversation. I thrashed and clawed inside my skull, threw everything I had into moving a single finger. Nothing. Absolutely nothing. The days after that blurred into a waking nightmare. I'd hear my mother pray over me while my husband held her hand and cried on command. I'd hear nurses call him a saint. I'd hear him make phone calls when we were alone, talking to someone about the life insurance policy and how the payout would work once I was gone. Then he'd lean close and whisper things like, $2 million, sweetheart. You're worth more dead than you ever were alive. I'd rage and thrash inside my frozen body until I had nothing left. By the second week, he started getting impatient. I heard him pushing harder in conversations with my doctors. Heard him mention letting her go with dignity and what she would have wanted. He talked about how I'd always said I never wanted to be kept alive by machines. That was a lie. I'd never said that. But everyone believed him because he was Dr. Reeves, the grieving husband who loved his wife so much he couldn't bear to see her suffer. Then one night, I heard the click of my door locking. His footsteps approached slowly and stopped at my bedside. I'm done waiting, he said, his voice flat and clinical. Every day you're alive is another day you might wake up, and I can't have that. I heard him pull something from his coat. Heard the soft tap of a syringe against the IV pole. Potassium chloride stops the heart almost instantly. It's very common for coma patients to have sudden cardiac events. He leaned down to my ear one final time, and I felt his breath hot against my skin. You really should have died the first time. Would have saved us both a lot of trouble. His hand closed around my IV line and something detonated inside me. My finger twitched, then my whole hand, and the heart monitor started shrieking. I forced my eyes open to fluorescent light and his face frozen above me with the syringe still in his grip. Footsteps pounded down the hallway and he shoved the syringe in his pocket just as nurses burst through the door. She's waking up, he cried, tears already streaming down his face. Oh my god, baby, I'm right here. I never left you. My throat felt like shattered glass, but I forced the words out anyway. He pushed me down the stairs. He tried to kill me. The room went silent and my husband's mask finally cracked. Every trace of the grieving doctor gone. You really should have stayed asleep, he said. They found the syringe loaded with enough potassium chloride to kill 3 people, and the last I heard he's serving 25 to life.